Hello, everybody. Of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And ish.
You already know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like and share button if you are on Facebook. If you are on our Facebook page, please go ahead and hit that like button so you can make sure that you are notified on Facebook. And as well, if you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. And as well with that notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future.
Ding.
Thank you for that, Ish. And as well, if you are on Twitter, go ahead and check us out on Periscope at X Talking Ish, and as well on my personal page at X underscore Williams 81. And you can check us out on there on Periscope. Alrighty, then we are back once again to recap week 10 of the NFL season, and we are now technically past the midway point of the NFL season to where contenders and pretenders. It is real deal Holyfield moving forward, and we're gonna start seeing some teams separate like oil and water. We're gonna start seeing these boys float to the top, rise to the top. The cream will rise, and we will see sooner rather than later, who's real and who's not. And there were some hell of a games that went on this past weekend. A couple of upsets and some games probably went as expected, but probably just didn't go, the way that it probably was going to go, or should have went, I should say. And that's why we watch the NFL because every weekend they surprise us all the time with certain upsets, and we'll of course jump right into that after I ask my boy Ish, how's he doing tonight? How are you doing, sir? Anything new to tell the folks on X Talking Ish?
No, just feeling good. Won all three of my fantasy league games this week, so it was a pretty good week for me in fantasy. I haven't had one of those in a long time.
Nice,
But
nice.
what'd you say?
I said nice, nice.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, it was just chill. I'm ready to get in get into the playoffs and see what happens from there.
You
Just
also had
move
the
forward.
total points as well in the X Talking Ish league.
Yeah, I had the highest point, which is funny because I had the highest points and my opponent had the second highest points. So
Ah,
sucks to suck for
oh
him.
wow!
But hey, if we can get the win, that's all I care about.
By any
Justin
means,
Fields right now, he's doing that thing for me.
yes. Justin Fields is a very interesting topic, just due to the way that he's going about his style of play at that quarterback position. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But first, like I said, we'll go ahead and jump right into what everybody is still talking about till today is the Commanders pulling off, I should say, the upset against the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. Not just the upset, but the upset on the road in Lincoln Financial Field to beat the Eagles at home. What a performance by Taylor Heineke and the crew. Ish. I'll just start off first. I mean, this is your like your second or your third team, your EAGLES Eagles. Tell the folks what you saw.
Honestly speaking, um, I'm relieved. I'm relieved to finally get the loss out of the way. I think that it's something that it needed to happen so that that pressure could be off, so that everybody could kind of leave it alone as far as the undefeated season. I think it's the NFL. You expect to have games like this. It just wasn't a clean game. Four turnovers. Uh, it just it was one of those things where, especially against a division rival, I think I was waiting for this kind of game to happen for the Eagles. And it's nothing that made me too concerned. It was nothing that was too crazy. Hats off to the Commanders for staying in the game, not getting too crazy when they got behind. In the first quarter, they just continue to play their game, continue to hang around, continue to believe, and yeah, they came out with a win. I know there was some controversy at the end of the game and people were like, oh, well, the refs cost the game. I think, my coach always used to say it in college when we were playing, never leave it into the refs' hands. Like if it's yours to win, then you want to do everything in your power to make sure you go out there and you leave no doubt. Because if you leave it to chance, it's likely is likely to go the other way. And I think that's a situation where the whole game really it just didn't go the Eagles' way. They left a lot out there. They made a lot of mistakes, and you can't point at that one instance and say, well, they should have won the game. The refs cost them that. I think no. Honestly speaking, they got what they deserved. At the end of the day, they got what they deserved. And like I said, it's about time. I'm happy that they finally got it out the way. Now they can continue to just do what they need to do to progress, to continue to build, and to make sure that they're playing at their best when it really matters in the playoffs.
No, I definitely agree. I know we talked about it, of course, in the past. When are the Eagles going to lose? Because, they're not going to go undefeated. No disrespect to Eagle organization, no disrespect to the fans. I know how Philly fans get when you want to talk on their downfall and whatnot. They want to get Meek Mill out here and start singing Dreams and Nightmares. But this is okay. You're supposed to lose at least one game in the NFL. There's too many great teams out here in the NFL not to lose one game. But with that being said, let's hope that this helps rejuvenate them moving forward to make a run in the playoffs. But again, I've always saw them losing probably being able to lose 3 games. I have them losing to the Titans in the next couple more weeks. And what's surprised me at all is, again, if they already have everything locked up, they might pull starters at the end of the season, and whoever they play week 18, which I don't know off the top of my head. I know Ish going to bring it up. Maybe they beat them and whatnot. So the season obviously isn't over with. Again, it's week 10. Like, they're going to get a couple more losses.
Yeah, they got the Giants week 18.
There you go. So, that could easily be a loss. But speaking of not just the Eagles, but thank you for talking about the Giants and as in the NFC East as a whole. That division right now is insane with the win by the Commanders over the Eagles. That actually pulls the Commanders half a game out of a wild card spot.
All 4 teams can make it.
So right now, if the playoffs started right now, all 4 AFC East teams would be in the playoffs on the AFC side. And
NFC.
in the AFC.
Oh, yeah, in the AFC side.
The AFC East, all 4 teams. In the NFC East, 3 out of 4 would be starting right now in the playoffs. And again, the Commanders would be out, but that's another reason why obviously the season is over with. I don't expect all 4. I don't expect all 4 teams in the AFC East to make it. I don't expect all 3, or maybe even a 4th, to make it in the NFC East. Things are going to change. Teams are going to lose. We'll see how everything plays out at the end of the season. But hell of a performance by both divisions doing what they're doing so far.
Yeah, like you said, it's going to be hard for all 4 teams to make it from either of the 2 divisions. Mainly because when you look at the remaining schedules, they all got to play each other, right? So, like, you look on the AFC side, the New England Patriots, they still got to play the Jets again. They're going to have to play the Bills again. They still got to play the Dolphins again. And they got to play the Bills twice, actually, and then they got to play the Dolphins again. So there's still a lot of games to be played between these teams, even with the Eagles, like you mentioned before. They got the Tennessee Titans in a couple of weeks. They got the Giants on the road. They got the Cowboys on the road, and then they got the Giants at home. So there's still a lot of games to be played within these 2 divisions. By no means are these divisions settled just yet. There's a lot still on the line. So everybody's got to be on their P's and Q's. They got to be ready to play. And I think for me, and just what happened with the Philadelphia Eagles, this is the time. If there was ever a time to go ahead, drop the game, and then readjust, this was the time, because you're gonna start hitting that stretch where, hey, it's getting real. You really need to be on top of your game going into the playoffs, so that you hit your stride at the right time.
Yes, sir. Couldn't said it any better than that. Um, we'll move along. No point of beating a dead horse on that one. We'll see how the Eagles bounce back moving forward, and we'll see if they can continue to hold on to that number one seed in the NFC, because at the moment, we have a team that's right on their heels and is trying to get that number one seed in the NFC. Don't know if they're going to be able to hold on to it, but hey, they are half a game out, and that is the Minnesota Vikings. And I know that surprises a lot of people, but it wouldn't surprise me if you listen to X Talking Ish, because somebody had them going to the NFC Championship game, but we'll see how it all plays out. But at the moment, they battled their hearts out and was able to upset the Bills 33-30 with not just Captain Kirk. We're not going to give all the credit to Captain Kirk. He definitely was not the one that got them to where they're at, because the first half of the game, he definitely was struggling. But second half, Justin Jefferson said, hey, just throw the ball my way. I got you. And he made probably the catch of the year. I don't know if anybody's going to top it. At first, I think people thought the Stephon Diggs one-handed catch was great until that Justin Jefferson catch. And it goes to show you how not just how amazingly talented Justin Jefferson is. It just goes to show you, I feel like his will to win. That I don't think people remember that play, but that was a fourth down play. A fourth down play where that if he doesn't make that catch, the game is over.
Done.
The game's over. So, and if you're watching the game, I don't know if you were watching it or not, but if you're watching the game, you can see on his face, you can see how cold it was out there on his face, that it looked like he was about to start crying from time to time. And again, if you know anybody that's played not just football, but just any sport that's outside in the extreme conditions, it is not fun at all. And especially being a wide receiver trying to catch footballs, that is not a fun thing to do at all. I know nobody's going to feel sorry for anybody for making millions of dollars catching footballs outside, but just saying it's not fun to do. But I'll be honest with you, Ish. I wrote the Vikings off. I thought the Vikings were not going to find a way to win this game. They were losing at one point in time, and I turned the TV off and went off and did bad things and went and go grocery shopped and bought things and this, that, and the third. And I saw that the Vikings came back and won, and I was very proud of them. I was proud of my boy Captain Kirk and them boys for growing up right in front of our eyes. But like you said, like I said last week, will you be able to do it when it matters? And that's all that matters. It was a great win, great morale boost amongst the troops. But can you pull off this win when it matters? And who knows, if you may be able to get that number one seed in the NFC, everything can roll through Minneapolis-ish.
Yeah, it was a hard fought, great game, great comeback for the Vikings. I think it showed that they are the real deal. They are a real contender. I think there have been a lot of people that have kind of been questioning whether or not they're a real contender. But if anything, this game should show you that they're a real contender. I think also for the Buffalo Bills, it shows that the Buffalo Bills aren't quite the surefire favorite that everybody thinks they are. I think that there have been a lot of talk about the Buffalo Bills being the class of the AFC. There's a lot of people that really believed in the Buffalo Bills as this was their time to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. And I think we're seeing, and we've seen throughout the season, they've got a couple of cracks that they still need to figure out, especially when this comes down to playing these tight, close games against playoff teams. And I'm going to be interested to see how they kind of bounce back from this and kind of move forward. I still think that they're a really good team. I still think that they're a top 3 team in the AFC, if not the league. But I think that, you want to see, especially at home, you want to see them close this kind of game out, right, against a playoff contender, because these are the kind of games when it comes to playoff time that you will have to close out, and you expect it to be close like this. So it was very interesting, but hats off to Minnesota Vikings, hats off to the coaching staff there. What they're doing this year has been great. And now is the nitty gritty. Now is like we've been saying, like we've been alluding to. We're starting to get into the real part of football, right? The real season. And it's really getting tough for Minnesota. Minnesota's gonna have to put up or shut up, because they got the Cowboys next week. They got the New England Patriots following that, the Jets. They got the Giants a couple weeks after that. They got the Packers on the road, and then the Bears on the road. And I mean, the Bears have been playing really well. Justin Fields has completely turned it around. That offense looks completely different. The Green Bay Packers, we got to see this week that, hey, maybe the Packers might be turning things around. I mean, I'm still not believing it, but who knows? Maybe so. And the Patriots, Jets in the thick of things, and so are the Giants. So the Vikings are going to have a chance to really prove where they stand in this league in the next couple of weeks to close out the season. So I'm excited to see that. And for the Buffalo Bills, home field, we talked about it. Remember, they beat Kansas City and had the head-to-head, and everybody was talking about, oh, well, the road finally might go through Buffalo. Well, they're currently sitting third in their own division, so they might have to go through Kansas City or Miami just to get to the Super Bowl. So we'll have to wait and see how things close out.
It's funny how things come at you fast, as they say.
Man.
Like come at you fast. Buffalo at one point in time, they were just in cruise control to finish off the rest of this season, and now all of a sudden you're looking up in the division like, what the hell just happened? And like I talked about that division, the AFC East, it's pretty amazing when it comes to what it all entails. I mean, you have a team with the Patriots that, I mean, most people outside of New England kind of wrote off because nobody pretty much has faith in what Mac Jones can do, and then Mac Jones get hurt, and you've got Zappy comes in, he plays well a little bit, and then he's still a little inconsistent. Mac comes back.
They need to go back to the Zappy.
It's more of the quarterback carousel you got going on back there, but at the end of the day, you're still at least winning games to where you're at least keeping competitive due to the defense. Really, the defense is what's the Patriots,
Bill Belichick,
even a thought of right now. So another opportunity to say hats off to Bill Belichick again, right? So then you also got the Jets that are doing what they're doing. Can they continue the success in the second half of the season? Can the Bills find a way to be successful in the second half of the season without having a letdown? Can the Dolphins continue to do what they do without having to worry about Tua getting hurt or whatnot? Or it's a lot of storylines second half of the season. It's gonna be very, very fun to watch, because just like in the first half of the season, hey, every game matters. Every game definitely matters. It's gonna be very interesting to see how this all plays out. All right, let's move on to a game that I think Ish and I were in agreement of what would happen in the outcome of this game, and if Josh McDaniels was not able to get this completed, and I just feel as though it needs to be addressed. Ish, I just feel as though that everybody needs to know that Josh McDaniels does not deserve ever in life to become a head coach in the NFL. It's just this is disrespectful to coaches. Because you, Josh McDaniels, let a guy come on off the street and have 4 or 5 days to prepare to beat you, and he beats you. Like I don't. Both of y'all making the head coaching position that much of a joke because you Jeff come off the street to come get a job, and then you Josh, you get the job due to pretty much affiliation and pretty much really not doing shit at that position, and now both of y'all out here looking like oops on shit, and we over here trying to figure out what the fuck going on. That's what's going on with Josh McDaniels. You over here like, what the hell is going on? How did we lose to the Colts? You tell me, sir. You tell me.
This, honestly speaking, just absolutely embarrassing. Derek Carr crying in the interview, in the press conference afterward. That pretty much sums it up. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. No, it's not passionate. It's embarrassed. The man is embarrassed. You can't be the Las Vegas Raiders and come out here against a team that had been struggling, a team that was still trying to figure out who the quarterback was, whether or not they wanted to play. The coach just got fired. I understand some people say, well, that lifts the team up. It makes them bond. It makes them all come together and they want to perform. Dude, you are a team that was expected to come in and contend in the AFC. You went to the playoffs last year. And to lose to this team, a team that had people on the sideline where no one had any experience calling calling plays in the NFL. It's embarrassing. Josh McDaniels should have lost his job. I don't understand how we got to Monday. And I understand you made an investment in it, so you want to say, oh, well, trust the process. It takes time. No. You didn't make a trade for Davante Adams to talk about it taking time. Okay? You didn't re-sign Max Crosby to talk about it taking time.
You're lying.
I mean, it's embarrassing in Las Vegas. It's embarrassing the excuse they're trying to make about, oh, well, be patient. This, they did everything to be competitive now, and they are far from it. So I don't know what they need to do to figure that stuff out there. I don't know. I don't even know if they're going to move on from Derek Carr after this season. But if you're a Las Vegas fan, shoot, you're hoping they blow it up and start all over. Bring in people that Josh McDaniels actually wants. I don't know.
Now, I was going to ask you before we move on. I mean, if you are, besides being a Raider fan, but if you are a Raider realist and you can make some changes, what would you do to change the dynamic of the Raiders?
Like I said, I think you might just have to start it all over. You might have to start getting rid of some of these guys that have been there for a long time. I think maybe at this point it is a culture thing. Maybe they're just not. Some of these guys just aren't able to win. They don't want to win. They don't have the drive to win, or they don't know how to win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I said, you bring in a guy like Davante Adams because you are hoping to compete. You make some of the signings and investments in these contracts because you were trying to compete, and to sit at 2-7 at this point. Something needs to change. Whether it's Derek Carr you need to move on from Derek Carr. You need to redo a lot of those draft picks that happened under Mike Mayock and on the defensive side, because clearly a lot of them didn't work out. I don't know, but it seems like you're a lot closer to a full rebuild than you are to competing.
Yeah, the Raiders are. I mean, it's funny saying all this about the Raiders when the Colts are. I mean, kind of the same boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not that bad, but now to come think about it, they really are that bad. Where everyone really has any success. I wouldn't say it's just Andrew Luck, more of Peyton Manning, because Andrew Luck was supposed to be the next Peyton Manning. I never really panned out, just unfortunately due to injuries, and now the Colts have pretty much just been a shell in themselves ever since Andrew Luck, multiple unfortunate injuries and then forcing him to retire. Peyton Manning has been the only consistent cog for them, knowing that, hey, Page is going to give you 12 wins a season, take you to the playoffs, maybe even conference championship game. And with the Colts kind of just everything just not going the way that they wanted to this season, changing the quarterbacks, firing not just, of course, offensive coordinator but also QB coordinator. I mean, QB coach or whatnot. I mean, it's a lot going on for that organization. So for them to pull that out with a head coach that's coming off of a ESPN booth appearance, I don't understand how Josh McDaniels still has a job right now. That's just it baffles me. But hey, like you said, if you want to trust the process and wait and see how this all plays out, and maybe Josh McDaniels turns the ship around, all pun intended there, then go from there. I don't know what to tell you on that one, Nish. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and move on to. I guess we could talk about the Broncos and Titans, even though this was a very sad and honestly a very boring game. The Broncos.
I don't think it was boring. Come on.
Well, I mean, it
took a while for the Titans to get to where they were supposed to do. And
again, as a Titans fan, I don't get the luxury of being able to see 25 plus points on the board every game, like certain teams are. So for me, it's just, Lord, we're going to score 17. How can we win this game? But we're able to win this game by only scoring 17 points, just like we've done in the last 5 weeks, by just playing hard-nosed defense and just being able to keep things in front of you. And that's what the Titans did. They were down at one point in time by 10, and Titans put up 17 unanswered, and of course won the game 17-10-ish.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it took a while for the Titans to actually, get up to speed and perform. But hey, at the end of the day, they were able to come through. They were able to win this game, grind it out as they usually do. And the shutout in the second half was big for me. They told me everything I needed to know about this Titans team. It showed me that they're going to make the adjustments, showed me that they are able to put up when they need to put up. And I think to shut out a team in the second half and go out there and claim the victory, that was big for me. It's big for the Titans team. It's something to build upon. It's something to actually be excited if you're a Titans fan, because it shows that, hey, your team, honestly speaking, we know they're going to make the playoffs because there is no other team in the AFC South that can compete with them.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of thing that you want to see from them in the playoffs as they get to the playoffs. You want to see that they're going to be able to make adjustments in games and especially shutting teams out. This is the team that you don't want to be in a close game with come playoff time. Mm-hmm. A team that knows how to run the ball, a team that can control the clock is not the team you want to be in a close game with. So to see this kind of performance, I told you before the game, I wanted to see what the Titans were going to do against a team that they should beat, because I wanted to see, is this the Titans team that we all know and love come playoff time, that is that, old school smash mouth team? And hey, they are starting to round into form. It's not, like you said, they're not putting up 25 points a game. They're not doing the new school, hey, let's air it out kind of thing, but they're doing what they do best. And I'm looking at this schedule coming up, and I'm thinking
it's very favorable. It's very favorable.
You got Green Bay on the road. For that number 1 seed. Yeah, you got Green Bay on the road. You got the Bengals at home, the Eagles on the road, Jacksonville, the Chargers on the road, the Texans, the Cowboys, and Jacksonville on the road. I mean, this is a good mixture of playoff caliber teams and teams that you should get a good win with.
Control your own destiny.
You control your own destiny, pretty much. And I like that.
Pretty much. You win the games you're supposed to. Who knows? Maybe even sneak one you're not supposed to.
Sneak a couple in that you're not supposed to. And
let the rest fall where they are. Let the cards fall where they are. I'll just say, yes, I am not just proud of the defense. I am honestly more proud of the consistency that I've watched over the season with these guys on the side of the defense side of the ball. They have done nothing but just come out to ball, and I'm just hoping that trickles over to the offense side of the ball to where we're able to score a couple more points. Again, I am appreciative of the defensive effort. I promise you, I am. We just need to score more points. That's all. Need more points on the board. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Cowboys and the Packers. Another Aaron Rodgers spectacular against the Cowboys. Seems as though every time Aaron Rodgers and the Cowboys play against each other, it's bound to go down to the wire. It's bound to have some type of controversial call or system or whatever it is going on. And we have it yet once again with the Packers winning 31-28-ish.
Yet another game with the Cowboys being the Cowboys. Because to be honest, I didn't feel like Green Bay wanted to win this game. I felt like Green Bay they were there, they were hanging, but they really didn't want this game, if we're just being honest. Because it took 14 in the fourth quarter for them to get it to overtime. And from a Cowboys standpoint, this is the opposite of what you want to see from your team. Not that I'm going to ring the alarm bells or overreact and say, uh-oh, Cowboys in trouble. But it's the kind of thing of you got the lead against the team that's been struggling. Just put them away. And they just couldn't put them away. They couldn't put them away. And I understand. You're at Lambeau Field. You're on the road. But still, against the team that has been struggling, and for they have not looked like a team that even wanted to win. They haven't looked like a team, in fact. And for you to allow them to hang in, score 14 unanswered in the fourth quarter, to take it to overtime, and then you lose in overtime. If you're a Cowboys fan, you're looking at that team and you're saying, not again. Please don't do it. You perform during the regular season, and then when it comes time to really put up, you always find a way to disappoint. And this game, to me, is like the writing on the wall. Here we go again with the Cowboys finding a way to let it all go late in the season. And I'm hoping it's a one-off. I'm hoping that they're able to turn it around. And honestly speaking, they need to turn it around because, like we called out earlier with the NFC East and where everyone sits right now, in the schedule that they have remaining, the Cowboys have a chance to win this division. They also have a chance at not making the playoffs. So they're going to have to actually perform and do what they're supposed to do. Mainly run the ball. Please run the ball. This is why I said I didn't want Dak to come back, because they got a little pass happy when they could have ran the ball, and then here we go.
Yeah, you know how it is. Your Ferrari comes back out of the shop. You want to take it on to a quick little test drive, make sure it's all good. That's all you're doing. I'll just say this before we move on. This is a good litmus test for both teams. Obviously, the Packers more than the Cowboys, but even with the Cowboys losing, I would like to see that matchup running it back one more time in the playoffs. Same result, I don't know. Different result. I mean, the Cowboys had them beat for the most part throughout the whole day. The whole game, I should say. And I mean, if they run it back one more time, if the Packers can even get there, because right now,
because they're not making the playoffs.
Not even the Packers right now. They wish they could see the playoffs, but yeah, as Aaron Rodgers have done before in the past, he says, "Hey, relax. We can go on a run and maybe sneak into the playoffs."
They got a lot of work to do.
They have a lot of work to do, but anything is possible, as they say. So let's go ahead and move on from that one. Let's talk a little bit about your Chiefs-ish. They took care of business like a playoff caliber in a conference championship game, a conference championship contender is supposed to do, and that's beat the Jags. Not just beat them, but also cover the spread as well. So shout out to y'all on that, and give us your take on this game-ish.
Yeah, the Chiefs did what they were supposed to do, like you said. They went out there, they performed. It's good to see Kadarius Toney getting into the offense a little bit more. MVS doing his thing as well. It's good to see the Chiefs kind of performing as they need to perform. They held Jacksonville to 259 passing yards, which that's big for this young secondary, because I think that's where everyone's going to be testing them moving forward. They're going to be testing them in that secondary. We know that they can stop the run. We know that they can be good in the red zone when they need to, but are you going to be able to, stop the pass? That's the concern, because of teams like Buffalo being the main contenders. And so far, it looks like that secondary is starting to grow up. They're starting to get a little bit better. They're starting to gel together. And I'm just looking for the Chiefs to continue to put the building blocks in place to be the AFC champion come at the end of the year. In order to do that, you're going to have to play good, sound defense, and you're going to have to find a way to score. I think my main concern right now and just moving forward is that they do tend to go on these stretches of not scoring points. As much as we know the Chiefs for scoring points, let's all be honest. In the games where they have struggled, they tend to have these long stretches in games where they just do not score any points. No points in the fourth quarter. I know you had the game wrapped up at this point, but that's just another sign to me of like, hey, guys, we don't want to get in the habit of, doing too much, being a little too creative, and then not putting any points on the board, because that can cost you against Buffalo. That can cost you against, some of these other teams that are competing, Miami. You got to be able to put the points up. Tennessee especially. We saw how hard that game was to win last week. We can't have it. So I need the offense to get in a good rhythm, and I need the defense to just keep progressing. But overall, it was a good win, and I'm excited as a Chiefs fan to be currently sitting in the number one spot.
Now, besides obviously the obvious, which is the Chiefs winning this game, I'm just looking at the Jaguars once again and just seeing. I mean, you started off, the regular season, 2-1. Things were looking very promising, and ever since then you've been 1-6, and it's just very sad. I mean, you kind of wanted, this young Jags team to try to find a way to boost the AFC South with the even with the Texans. We knew both teams would be bad, but let's be real. I mean, maybe not to get the Texans be one win bad, but maybe people expected the Jags to be 4 or 5 win bad, which was understandable. But the Texans are just very bad. And with those two teams doing what they're doing, it just makes the AFC South look that much worse because of also the Colts as well. But hey, this NFL this season just been very weird. I've never seen it where both divisions of the same conference are just kicking ass right now, and it's interesting how the NFL is shaping up at the moment. So, anywho, let's go ahead and move on to the Browns and the Dolphins. This game wasn't one of those games I feel as though was really talked about too much, but the Dolphins took care of business at home, putting up 39 on the Browns. And
you try to lie to us all. You try to lie to us. So you try to lie to us in the preview show. You're trying to hype up this matchup. You're trying to tell us like, oh, the Browns, they have a chance. I try to tell you that they didn't have a chance. Okay, they didn't have a chance.
They did in the first quarter.
It wasn't even close. No,
first quarter.
They didn't even have a chance there. They didn't even have a chance before the game even started. They knew it themselves. They didn't have a chance. and they went out there and they played like they didn't have a they just waiting for Deshaun Watson to get back. And even then, they done dug themselves in such a deep hole, they ain't making playoffs anyway.
Well, I'm happy you brought that up because that's actually what I was going to say in regards of course, the only saving grace of this game was after the game was over with, it pretty much almost initiated Deshaun Watson's availability back with the Browns, and he is back in the facility getting ready for hopefully a starting position, starting role with the team, and maybe even a debut with the team against the Texans very soon. Ish, do you see him stepping in right away, getting a QB1 job, or is he going to go ahead and sit out a game-ish or maybe even half a game before they go ahead and just pull Jacoby Brissett?
No, I think they're going to just play him. I mean, they've got nothing to lose at this point. I know they thought that they would be excuse me. I know they thought that they would be competing for a playoff spot maybe when he came back, and Jacoby Brissett could just hold down the team. But you know, you got nothing to lose. This is a guy that hasn't played football in a really, really long time. I think you need to get him back in the swing of things sooner rather than later. Just allow him to get out there, get some game time experience, and at the very least prepare him for next year, right? Because if you hold off, that's only less time that he gets to prepare before he gets in the preseason next year, and then you're back at it. And with the way this team is built, you expect them to come back next year and want to be somewhat in the conversation to win the AFC North, if not, compete to win the AFC. So I think they're going to try to get him out there sooner rather than later, get some experience under his belt, get him back into the swing of things, let him knock off some of that rust, and then, build for next season.
Rust over rest, as they always say, and he has had plenty of rest, and hopefully he doesn't come in too rusty. I know, I know you remember back in the preseason when Deshaun was
he was looking rough.
Yeah, he was looking a little rough. So, I kind of expect a little more of the same, at least in the first couple of games. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think he'll start being technically even ready until maybe sometime next season, once it's like really game 2, game 3, when he's actually had a lot more, seeing more game speed, game film, and being able to be more engulfed in it than he was in the past.
Oh, I can see it.
All righty, then let's go ahead and move on to, I know, Ish's favorite team, the Houston Texans. They, of course, took care of business by losing to the Giants.
No dinks, no dunks, just dimes, baby.
Ish's favorite quarterback.
Just dimes, baby.
Danny Wood-Nickel.
Listen, the slander needs to stop, okay?
Once you stop disrespecting my boy Kirk, I got you.
Also, I want to just call this out: 6-4 Seattle, 7-2 New York.
Okay.
Comeback player of the season. Comeback player of the year, Mr. Danny Dimes just went out there and he just, did what he needed.
Remember, still got that hit the head win.
I don't care. His team is
season not over. Season not over though.
Season ain't over. 2 games better. But I don't care about none of that nonsense. Anyway, they just went out. They did what they were supposed to do. A nice grinded out win.
The facts are on the wall that the season ain't over yet.
A nice grinded out win for the New York Giants. I'm still concerned that they don't really have any weapons around my boy Danny. But at the end of the day, this defense plays. They play well. They put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. It's not hard to do when you're playing against the Houston Texans. But you're just hoping to see them continue to do that against competitive teams. The schedule, like I've called out, previously for the other NFC East teams, it's getting real now. Now you're going to have a lot of contenders that you're going to have to beat in order to make the playoffs. This is not going to be a cakewalk going in to close the season. They got, besides the Lions right now, which the Lions are no easy win because they can put points on the board, but you got the Cowboys on the road, then you got the Commanders at home, the Eagles at home, then the Commanders on the road, the Vikings on the road. the Colts at home, and then the Eagles on the road.
We're gonna
4
see.
games
We're gonna see how real the
remaining on the
Giants are.
road.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
gonna see they will earn their place if they make it to the playoffs, and if they win the NFC East, or if they are up there as far as the better teams in the NFC. It won't be out of luck. They will earn that spot. So everybody that's talking down on my boy Danny, we're about to see.
I will have to agree with you on that one, sir. I didn't take that into account when it comes to all the teams they have to go through, especially on the road, to be able to earn that playoff spot. If they get that, I will have to tip the cap to Mr. Wooden Nickel on that one. Not gonna lie.
No dinks, no dunks, just dimes, baby.
Philly. All right,
just dimes, baby.
This game went as I planned and I expected it to go, which was it was going to be a toss up. Both, of course, split on this one, and Steelers won 20-10. Is anything on this one?
No.
Saints, I'm pretty sure Saints fans are on a desperate plea for
Jameis, please.
Even worse case scenario, even Archie Manning out of the telephone booth to at least try to help out the Saints at the moment, because it is just bad and down and out. And maybe next year will be their year, because right now this year not gonna happen.
Yeah, this year definitely not the year. I don't even really know what to tell you, to be honest. I guess the question becomes, well, and it sucks to even say, they don't even get the number 4 pick in the draft right now. So what do they do at quarterback? Like, what do they do moving forward?
Big question mark.
That's gonna be a big question mark for Saints fans. Like, how do you rebuild? You don't even got the first round pick.
Especially also as well. I mean, even if you did have the first round pick, the quarterback, I feel like the quarterback field at the moment isn't really that
not that great,
clear cut. There's no clear cut number one that you say, hey, I will make you the franchise guy moving forward for the next 10 years. I don't see that in this draft. I mean, there might be one moving forward later on after these guys play on their teams and after they get drafted. But right now, I don't see anybody that, and this is including, even a Heisman Trophy winner like Bryce Young. I mean, I don't see this.
I mean, he hasn't been flawless this year. CJ Stroud hasn't been, showing too strong. He's got the numbers, but if you've watched him,
he's gonna do what he's gonna do in that Ohio State system, just because it's the Ohio State system. But like you said, if he gets drafted, is he as good as the numbers make him look?
Well, I will also say a big thing for me, if you're looking at CJ Stroud as a top draft pick, you don't have to look very far. Let's look at Justin Fields. If you're not willing to tailor your offense to what they do at Ohio State and what they do well at Ohio State, you're not going to get the kind of results out of that quarterback that you're expecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've all seen, since they've adjusted that offense in Chicago, what Justin Fields has been able to do, even with the lack of weapons. Everybody was talking about how they didn't have any weapons, and that's why they're performing so poorly, when in reality it was that the offense was not tailored to his skills. And ever since they have tailored the offense to his skills, he has performed a lot better, even with the lack of weapons. Any team that drafts a guy like CJ Stroud has to be willing to change their offensive scheme to fit his strengths and what he's used to doing at Ohio State. And I think that, for me, always seems to be the problem with these Ohio State quarterbacks, is they come into the league, teams try to put them into their system, and these quarterbacks have a hard time adjusting because that system is so, I think, it's so college centric that it just doesn't translate well to the league. So that'll be the interesting part. We all know the Alabama QB situation and what's going on there. And I will just say this: Bill O'Brien. Enough said. I will stay away from that man. I will be staying away from anybody that is being coached by Bill O'Brien over there.
Get to the comment section right quick. Travis Crow says, "Sorry, I'm late. We're coming from upper respiratory infection. Get to
hope you
catch
get
the
better,
last
bro.
few minutes at least. You good, boss. You good. Rest up.
You're good. Rest up, man. Get better, please.
Appreciate the love as always. And as we was talking about earlier, with the Bears, we'll wrap it up with, or I should say, we'll almost finish it up with the Bears. We'll wrap it up with a couple more games before we get up out of here. Bears and Lions. Lions narrowly escape the Bears when it seems as though that this was a game that they should not have even been in and a part of, and they found a way to not lose like the Lions and actually win for the first time like an actual real NFL team. And I was lost for words just because this is another game. I thought this game was over. I didn't
two scores. They were
but
up by 2 scores, and then all of a sudden, Justin Fields throws the pick 6, which that was crazy in and of itself because it was one of those like, bro, just throw the ball away. Like, what are you doing? But then when
mistakes.
When he responded with the touchdown run, I thought, okay, maybe it's not as bad as it looks. But it was as bad as it looked because they still found a way to allow the Lions come back. Dude, the missed field goal, the missed extra point, come back to haunt them. I mean, when I saw him miss it, I sure was like, here we go. Because it's been a theme this season. I think we've seen a number of teams now lose because of missed extra points, and that theme continues yet again. I don't know what's going on at the kicker position ever since they moved the extra point back, and it's no longer that for sure gimme. It has cost a couple teams wins.
Jesus.
And the Bears, I know they feel bad about this one because, again, they were up by 2 scores going late in the game, and to allow the Lions to come back, that one hurt, man. At home as well, just bad teams be doing bad team things.
Yeah, the crazy thing about that game is the amount of rushing yards that Justin Fields has acquired over this season. Now, I want to ask you this question because I know people always ask and they continue to ask about, well, what makes Lamar Jackson different from Justin Fields if they're not calling Justin Fields a running back and he's top 5 in rushing yardage as a quarterback? What would be your take on that, Ish?
I think the difference is the utilization, right? So Lamar Jackson, that Baltimore offense is built around Lamar running, a lot of read option, a lot of quarterback sweeps. I don't see Lamar breaking the pocket and running as much as he used to back in the day. And I think when he came into the league, because of how many design quarterback runs they had, that's where people were saying, well, maybe he's a running back, maybe he's a wide receiver. With Justin Fields, it was never a question of, can he run? Yeah, he's very athletic. But at Ohio State, he wasn't running, if you remember. He was doing a lot of throwing of the ball in that Ohio State system.
I remember, sir.
And I think that's where the difference. But then this year, if we're honest, it's not design runs that has him leading, that has him so high in rushing yards. It's him not being able to find an open guy and breaking the pocket and running. And it's a symptom of what a lot of people have pointed to. There are no weapons around him. Unfortunately, the wide receiver position in Chicago is just kind of bare bones. You got Mooney, and now they have Claypool. But again, we said it. Claypool is not that guy, number one. And Mooney, unfortunately, because you don't have another guy, teams are double teaming him. So there's nowhere to go. Kmet is finally showing up, though. So they got a tight end that's performing now. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the scheme and what they've been able to do there. So,
yeah, I mean, this is one of those wins for the Lions that it's very rare because usually they are on the other side of a win like this. So, shout out to them for being able to make it a little bit over the hump on that one. and we'll wrap it up with the Chargers 49ers. One of the games that I would say, again, pretty disappointing for the Chargers. I know even though I picked them to win, and I knew, of course, I should have obviously picked the Niners because Kyle Shanahan has Debo powers over Sean McVay and just cannot beat him. Thought this would be the night, but apparently it was not. And the Chargers, I'm sorry, not McVay. I'm sorry, I said not the Rams, but even Brandon Staley can't beat Kyle Shanahan or whatnot. And with the Chargers ish, do you feel as though that their window is closing when it comes to not even the Super Bowl, but just making the playoffs?
I think their window is definitely closing for making the playoffs this season. Only because the injuries, right? It would be different if it was just a lack of performance. But the injuries are what's hurting them. And then to have the schedule that you have left, where you got a lot of divisional games left. You got the Kansas City Chiefs at home coming up. Then you've got the Cardinals on the road, which, as bad as the Cardinals have been, that's not an easy road game. You got the Raiders, which is a divisional team on the road. We all know how the Raiders play divisional teams. Mm-hmm. They like to play well against their divisional rivals, and then everybody else, they like to just give them the game. You got the Dolphins, which that's a hard game, whether or not it's at home. Tennessee at home, but again, that's a tough playoff team. You got the Colts on the road, and the Colts apparently under Jeff Saturday are now the old Colts. You got your crosstown rival in the Rams at home, but that's a toss-up game, really. And then you got the Denver Broncos on the road. 4 of the remaining games on the road. I just don't know, with a team that's struggling to stay healthy, if they're going to be able to pull out all of these games that they'll need and get the number of wins that they'll need to make the playoffs. Because like we said, the AFC is a very competitive conference right now. There are a lot of spots up for grabs, but it's very competitive at the top half of that conference. So do you get enough wins to make the playoffs? I don't know. Unless you get healthy very quickly, it doesn't look good for the Chargers. I just don't think that they'll have enough firepower to really close this one out. With teams like the Bengals sitting just right there with them at 5-4. We already talked about the AFC East and all those teams. You got to hope that they really just split a bunch of those games, right? The more they split games, the better it is for the Chargers, and that's the one way that they'll sneak in.
As well, with the Chargers, like you said, with all those injuries, I think it might make Brandon Staley's time as a head coach a little bit shorter than he wanted it to be, and it's just time, I think, for the Chargers to go ahead and start over a little bit with whoever they can maybe pull in there. Again, maybe a Sean Payton. I'm throwing his name out there in the hat. Somebody.
Sean Payton gonna be linked to every job.
Yeah, of course. You don't understand. Cowboys, Chargers. I mean, everybody. Might as well, right? But on a serious note, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, who they bring in, because I don't think Brandon Staley is going to be the coach. They're moving forward.
Unfortunately, it might be done for him.
Might be. Well, that's what happens when you want to go ahead and play video games in real life, trying to go 4th down all the time. So that's silly. But anywho,
it works on Madden.
A lot of things work on Madden. Not.
That man should be running four verts more often.
Maybe he should run some play action, which he does every damn game, or every damn snap, I should say. Yeah, they in pistol running play action. Like, come on, nobody's falling for that, sir. All right. Anywho, I'm just talking in circles now. As always, thank you once again, Travis, for joining us. Good night to you as well.
Hope you feel better, Mara.
We are going to get up out of here for tonight. That is Week 10 recap. We will be back Week 11 for a Week 11 pregame show on Sunday morning. And we're gonna start seeing who's the contenders, who's the pretenders. We'll have that list.
All these
Next
divisional
week.
games at the end of the season, it's about
I
to get a
think-
lot of fun.
I think 12 weeks is a good measuring so far is a good measuring stick to see who really are contenders, who are pretenders. So we'll have our top 5 list of both contenders and pretenders, and as always, we'll recap the games for week 11, and we'll go from there. But till then, we'll see y'all once again here on X Talking Ish. See y'all next time.
Peace.